Okay, so we just got finished with week 11, and maybe some teams that we thought were already dead are still very much alive in contention. Excitement? On a Thursday evening? What is this feeling? An AFC North duel between two of the NFL's best? How can this not be an instant classic? Well, it turns out the Bengals still haven't learned their lesson, trying to hide Joe Burrow's injury again, and had the man play injured, which shockingly resulted in a season-ending injury, and all of a sudden, in 2 weeks, a Super Bowl contender has devolved into a bottom 16 NFL team. And Baltimore also just barely escaped the plague in this game as well. Something supernatural must have been going on. Mark Andrews is done for the season, Lamar almost had to take another dump, and once Burrow went down, the most exciting part about this game was the airstrikes that got called in. I mean, it's clear at this point, right? We're just not allowed to have a good NFL game on Thursday. Even when the higher-ups try, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter at all. And now, Cincinnati, it's time to pay for your sins. Enjoy watching Jake Browning at quarterback for the entire season as Jamar Chase's talents go straight down the drain. We had chances, man. We had so many chances to win this game, and we just blew them all. Tua and the Dolphins looked unstoppable 50% of the time, and the other 50%, they were committing easily preventable mistakes. And if they were playing a real NFL team, there's no way the Dolphins would have won this game. Luckily, they weren't. And this game made it clear to me that Aiden O'Connell still needs some more time in the oven. Stops on 4th down, fumbles, picks, botched punts. We had it all gifted to us on offense. And once Jacobs got contained, Aiden O'Connell just looked butt naked and confused. And add that onto Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey being the two best players on the field at all times, besides special teams, and what you get is a disgraceful loss. I'm mainly upset because this was our final test of the season to see if we could maybe become something, but turns out we're just not good enough. And, maybe it's not such a bad thing because at the same time we move closer towards our goal of Caleb Williams, and the Dolphins move closer to the top of their division. So yeah. All the credit in the world goes to Chicago fans out there. It takes a strong moral compass to not have the urge to go commit a war crime after watching this game. Justin Fields looked good out there, dare I say very good. You can't really expect more from the man coming back from an injury and straight out of the sweatshirt on the sideline. 270 total yards should get it done, and it did, yeah. The defense also brought out the Jeff Fisher version of Jared Goff, and 3 turnovers later, and what you're looking at is a 12-point lead with 3 minutes left. Yeah, it's looking real good now. Real good. I mean, this had to be a purposeful tank job. 3 minutes left on the clock. 3. The Bears just got crocked in that time period. Piss poor tackling and a Jameson Williams touchdown instantly happens. But wait, still, hold on. The Bears had to work their ass off to do all with their drive, and all of a sudden, with conservative and aggressive play calling at the perfect wrong time, the Lions got the ball back, down 5, and the game just felt over. With no doubt, the Lions went straight down the field in just over a minute, and Monty got his revenge touchdown. Cool, just cool. Look, you can blame whoever you want here, except for Justin Fields, honestly. The defense had chances to end it all. If Jalen Johnson catches this pick 6, that's GG. If the defense didn't turn into instant prevent once they got the lead, it was GG. And if the offense didn't completely implode in the final quarter or so, it was GG. But those 3 things just happened. And, the Bears probably got what they wanted. They got a loss, and Justin Fields looked good, so he auditioned for another team next year, I guess, and the Lions got an ugly win, and if I say anything more, I'm gonna blow a fuse, so I'm just gonna cut it there. There's no way this kid. I'm gonna pass out by the end of this video. It's time to get pissed off again. Remember last week when I said the Chargers season was over? If you didn't believe me back then that's fine. Honestly, I don't blame you, but now, what's the argument? The Chargers just lost to the Packers. They made Green Bay's receiving core look like the greatest show on turf, and meanwhile, their Pro Bowl packed skill guys can't do shit. And somebody's coked out uncle put on an Austin Eckler jersey and slithered his way into the huddle at least twice. But to pause on the overwhelming negativity for a few seconds, Jordan Love has quietly put together 2 borderline elite games in a row. He's showing flashes, and Packers fans can't want anything more, so good job, Jordan. I'm proud of you. Anyway, the Chargers. Brandon Staley needs to get strapped to a chair and tossed out a window for good. As of the recording of this video, he still has a job, and for the life of me, I can't understand why. I would gladly sacrifice my left testicle to have someone as loyal as the Chargers ownership is to Brandon Staley. It's unbelievable. And for all of the unwatchable plays the Chargers turned out of their anal gland this game, they should have won. But due to Keenan Allen's dropped touchdowns earlier and their first round pick being the biggest wide receiver bust this season, they could not get it done. So who's to blame here? Well, I guess the sun. Yeah, the flaming ball in the sky was balling out, but also Justin Herbert. I mean, he was terrible all game. He sucks. He should have willed Keenan Allen's hands to work. He should have stopped Austin Eckler from eating shit and coughing up the rock. He should have ran down the field, thrown Quentin Johnson to the ground, and got the game-winning touchdown himself. I said I wouldn't keep doing this. I need to stop with these Chargers rants, but I can't help myself. It's a marvel of science how the Chargers keep finding new paths of pain. It's incredible, and someone needs to free Justin Herbert. He doesn't deserve all this. He really doesn't.
Commanders. They think they slick.
The Commanders have the worst defense in football, officially. Who else could make Danny DeVito look like an actual NFL quarterback other than this danky-ass unit of men? And the offense wasn't much better either. It turns out when you commit 6 turnovers, you're not going to win games consistently, even against the New York Giants. Once again, as of the recording of this video, the Commanders haven't fired any of their coaches yet, but that has to change. Maybe it's just me, but the Commanders look disinterested out there. They just seemingly gave up on playing for Rivera and the rest of the staff. I'm not saying fire Bieniemy and everyone else because they still deserve at least a little bit more time, but something has to change now or by the end of the season. What else is there to say from this game, though? Saquon Barkley was the best player touching grass, and he won the game by himself, basically, and pushed the Giants further and further away from their desired prize in Caleb Williams. But, hey, Brian Daboll doesn't care. That man is still fighting for his life at this point. Probably the most predictable game of the week. Besides the Giants-Cowboys game from last week, the Panthers are the worst team in the entire NFL, and the Cowboys are still the biggest slaughterer of mediocre teams I've ever seen. And once DeRon Bland got another pick 6, this game wasn't even worth paying attention to anymore. I guess for what it's worth, Dak Prescott only threw for 68 yards in the second half and no touchdowns, so his MVP chances went down a little, but yeah, the Panthers, they're still not great. This was probably the most confusing game of the week. This one had potential to be a shootout, an ugly run affair, and a defensive battle, and all of that got smushed together, resulting in an ugly, ugly brick of a game. But with that being said, I really like the way the Cardinals approached this game. Jonathan Gannon came out and made it clear that if they were going to win, Kyler Murray was going to be the reason. So they gambled on just about every single chance they could have, and it didn't work out, but I still like the idea. Look, Kyler wasn't atrocious by any means, but he still just couldn't do enough to win the game. He has some more rust to grind off, and he'll get there, but by the way he was underthrowing some guys and missing passes, he's not in his leading the MVP race form right now. But with that, this game was close for 2 reasons. 1, the Cardinals are bad, and 2, the Cardinals, more specifically Marco Wilson, is possibly worse than me at football. Tank Dell dropped a 150 whopper on the Cards, and Wilson was the primary man responsible. CJ Stroud also came back down to earth a little bit, but I mean, we're actually at a point in his career where a rookie drops 330 yards and 2 touchdowns as well as 3 picks, and that is considered a down game. But that is enough to beat the Cardinals. However, if you're going to try to keep this up and go for the division crown and take on Jacksonville, you're going to need to play better than this and get healthy. So, good luck to you. Enjoy. Yeah, the Titans might be the worst team in the league. I know we didn't get to see any Patriots football this week, but the Titans and Panthers put up strong performances for that 32nd power ranking spot. It's been a year since this team has won a road game, and it's looking like their upcoming schedule, they might not break that streak for the rest of the season. It is rough out there in Tennessee. I'm not sugarcoating it. The Jaguars' offense looked elite for an entire game, which simply hasn't happened all year long outside of a few drives. And yes, this was the Titans, but They really dominated, with Ridley and the most attractive man in football leading the way, and I would rip into Tennessee more, but we did get a Jeffrey Simmons touchdown, so no complaints whatsoever. They did their duty.
I can't f***ing do this anymore!
Deshaun Watson is gone, banished to the Shadow Realm for his wrongdoings, and now he will have to take some time off to relax and better himself for next season. But football still needs to be played, and this was just such a late season AFC North game. Dorian Thompson-Robinson versus Kenny Pickett. Never before have I been less inspired to watch this so-called matchup. Kenny and the Steelers offense had a first half. They dropped 0 points and did nothing, but Tomlin brought him back, adjusted in the second half, and actually almost stole another win. And well, we're at the point where I'm honestly surprised the Steelers didn't win this game. They had the Browns right where they wanted them, backed up on their side of the field. DTR had to go near 80 yards down the field to win the game, and you know, to his credit, he did just that, and D-Hop is apparently just automatic now, and with the Bengals knocked out due to injuries, the Browns also heavily injured just might be in control of their own destiny from now on. I'm just continually so impressed by this team's resilience, but I can't keep watching the Steelers play football. I feel physical pain from this offense. Just stop doing this, please.
Yep.
I mean, I guess this game went better than I expected for Tampa, but it didn't go good enough. The Bucs are simply the third best team in the worst division in football, and the 49ers aren't. There was no game here. The only important takeaway from this one was the injuries from both sides, with the Bucs losing Levante David and Carlton Davis, while the 49ers lost Hufanga for the season, so there's that. Brock Purdy did elite game manager stuff all game long versus a team that struggled to get pressure, and Baker Mayfield just bakered a little too many times. This team better not make the goddamn playoffs, or else I'm gonna throw a fit.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
And another stanky-ass late window matchup. Bench him now. Just at this point, drag Colt McCoy off of his couch. I don't care. But this team's record is already destroyed by playing with Zach Wilson. You cannot lose the locker room too, Robert. Get this MILF hunter out of the building forever. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I'm not super impressed by Zach Wilson's play, and the Jets still suck. But Buffalo also has Josh Allen, who is still good at football even without his offensive coordinator, and the Bills made this game unwatchable for all 60 minutes straight. I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. This team is about to ruin Aaron Rodgers' ancestral comeback where he's been rubbing dirt on his foot or whatever, because by the time mid-December rolls around, the Jets are just going to be eliminated from the playoffs. But hold on a minute. Maybe there's a chance. Could Zach Wilson be benched? Finally? Do it, Jets, please. It's the only way. It's the only way out of this hole of misery. Wow, this was the worst case scenario for the Seahawks. I'm just going to skip over the first half because the Hawks kind of just walked all over the Cooper Cup-less Rams for the most part, but in the second half, they really felt the burden of a Kenneth Walker injury and later a Geno Smith one as well. The offense went completely stagnant and the Rams started doing things very, very slowly because I'm not going to lie, this game had potential to be super fun, but do I even need to say anything here? Look at this. There was more total penalty yards in this game than Stafford's total passing yards, and it also doesn't exactly help this game's replay value that the Rams were able to take the lead in large part due to a penalty. But just when all hope seemed lost, he returned. He's back. Geno Smith pulled a Willis Reed and was ready to lead Seattle to a game-winning field goal, and he was determined. A laser to DK set them up in perfect field goal position where they decided to run the ball instead of, spiking it or something, which could have been pretty helpful. I mean, they really fumbled that ending there, but at least Jason Myers is completely automatic, so there's no reason to worry. And let's move on to the next game.
Kick on the way, leaking right.
That is a loaded shotgun straight to the chest. And now the Seahawks are forced to only rest for 3 days and have to play against arguably the best team in the NFL on Thanksgiving. It is going to be a massacre. But all I ask from you is that you make this game mildly entertaining. And like I said last week, your schedule is only going to get harder. So best of luck to you, Seattle. Get healthy soon. I would like to think this is not how Sean Payton wanted this game to go, but at this point I'm not sure. Denver's defense, which was once by far the worst unit in football, has now become league-wide near feared, and after a slow start, the defense started making plays while the offense just itself, forcing them to kick field goal after field goal after field goal after field goal after field goal. Anyways, after Denver's offense got shut out, the final minutes actually gave us a great ending. Russell Wilson checked it down, then checked it down, then checked it down, but then he threw up a bomb to Cortland Sutton, and that man just makes plays and gave Denver a 1-point lead with a fair amount of time still remaining. So now it was astronaut man time, and unfortunately the Vikings O-line still just kind of sucks, and in combination with him still not having a deep receiving core or experience with any of these guys, Denver's defense did just barely enough to contain Lamar Jackson, and very quietly have won 4 games in a row. And with the Steelers and Bengals just completely falling apart, there is going to be at least one spot in the AFC playoff picture for an underwhelming, under-the-radar team like the Broncos to possibly squeak in, but God, I hope not. This game lived up to every expectation I had for it, at least, but I really didn't expect the game to play out the way it did, though. It was real sloppy. Obviously, the weather was a major factor, as we'll get more into in a second, but the Eagles executed about as poorly as they could have early on, and Andy Reid did his thing and looked like he was just going to beat the Eagles to death early on. But one issue with that is the Eagles have more talent than the Chiefs, like a lot more, except for quarterback. So even with the Eagles getting themselves back into the game slowly, Patrick Mahomes was about to just end it all. But then there was a highly questionable, if not downright awful false start call, which killed the drive, but no matter, because they still had all the time in the world to make a play to go down the field and win.
Kelsey can't make the catch. Good protection, aired out. Valdez-Scantling dropped it. Airs it out, downfield, incomplete.
Yikes. I know it was wet, but it must have been a monsoon the way these dudes couldn't catch. It's been awful all year in the drop department for them, but even this is a new low. At least the offense showed it could, in theory, work at times, but I don't know. They must really, really miss Tyreek Hill. But before we go, it's time for the TubFrog Discord Awards, where you the people vote on what you thought were the best and worst plays from Week 11. And if you want to vote, the link to join my Discord server is in the description, and I post the polls directly after the Monday game. But with that, you chose Jalen Ramsey's game-winning interception as the best play of the week. No further comment. And for the best game of the week, it was sort of a weird week in this aspect, but you went with the Cardinals vs. Texans in a very close vote. And then you said the best individual performance was Tank Dell for his crucifixion of Marco Wilson and the Cardinals franchise. And the worst team performance, it's just constant. I don't think Tim Boyle is going to save anyone here, with the Jets winning this poll in a landslide. And the worst individual performance was yet another blowout, with every Chiefs receiver just playing some god-tier terrible football to find a way to throw this game. And finally, I asked you what your favorite type of triangle is, and it came down to the wire. But I'm pleased to let you know that the isosceles triangle took the win. Nice. But anyways, if you like this video, then subscribe, because I got a lot of videos on the channel just like this one. And if you haven't already, watch this video that I just did on how the Bills lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. It's pretty good, trust me. And thanks to all my Patreons for pledging $1. It means a lot. It really does. And anyways, until next time.